we have 12 families that's out here today that lost their loved ones at the hands of police here in the state of Minnesota. And also we have loved ones that came from out of state to stand with us today. This is a serious matter, even though George lost his life, and it is unfortunate. And it is painful that George lost his life. But George is the face of hundreds of murders in the state of Minnesota and thousands of murders around the United States. We have come together as families to fight for justice for our loved ones. There is no peace without justice. There is no peace without justice, because our families don't get peace. Our families have not had peace since one woman who stands here from 1997 when they murdered her loved one. Still no justice. My name is Toshira Garraway. I am the founder of Families Supporting Families Against Police Violence, and I have come here today as also a loved one. I lost the father of my son, Justin Teigen, at the hands of the St. Paul police. He was brutally beaten and thrown inside of a dumpster. Justin had dog bites all over his body. His skull was cracked in half. He was brutally beaten, a 2009 Emmett-Till. We are calling for the governor to meet with us. He has ignored us 3 times before this happened to George. It was permitted because we have asked the people in the political seats to come forward and speak with the families, go through these files, and give our families the justice we deserve. And they ignored that cry. So now we're in what we're going through right now. So today the families are going to come forward and tell their stories about what happened to their loved ones. 12 families standing out here, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We got way more families that's coming out and coming forward. What's been going on here in the state of Minnesota?
Hello. My name is Amity Dimmick. I am the mother of Kobe Dimmick Heisler. This is his maternal aunt, little sister, stepfather, maternal uncle. Kobe was murdered by the Brooklyn Center Police on August 31st of 2019. He was suffering from a mental health episode. He had a knife and a hammer, and he was going to hurt himself. The grandparents called the police. Like many mental health situations, they got it under control. The police decided to come in anyhow and check on him because they said they were concerned. Apparently they were so concerned that they came in and shot him in the head and then left him to lay on the floor for so long that he could not donate his organs. 9 months to this day, and we don't have answers, and the case is still open. I need Kobe's name to be known, and I need justice for Kobe. Justice for Kobe! Justice for Kobe!
Justice for Kobe!
Justice for Kobe!
Justice for Kobe!
My name is Angel Buchner. I am representing George Floyd. He was murdered by Minneapolis Police Department about 6 or 7 days ago. I can't even count anymore. Officer Tao was not an innocent cop in this because he kept people at bay by threatening to shoot them, while Officer Shuvanoff had his knee to George Floyd's neck and left it there for almost 9 minutes until life was no more. We want justice for George Floyd, and we want it now. Justice.
Yeah.
Sorry for all of your losses. I know what it feels like, trust me. Justice for George. George Floyd's death is a reminder of my son Jaffort death. So when George died, Jaffort died all over again. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for anyone to go out and kill. I come from a family of police. I know.
Tell what happened to Jaffort this morning.
Jaffort was shot down by 4 police officers, four police officers. St. Paul police officers, 49 to 52 times. And top it off, and got a shotgun out of the car and stood over him and shot him with a shotgun. Our DAs approved this shit. Our governors did not approve this shit. Our Attorney General approved this.
That's right.
And you and I, the governor, state, police chief, all know that this was an assassination of my son.
Yeah.
It was an assassination for George. It was an assassination for all of our families out here. It was wrong, and it's time. One thing I know, this pandemic has blessed us. This riot has blessed us. Because if it wasn't for this, they wouldn't listen to us. I don't approve of the violence. I'm not a part of it. But I can tell you this, it is out of my hands.
My name is Marilyn Hill. I'm here to represent my son Demetrius Hill, who got killed by Victor in 1997. My son was victimized by police brutality in Westminster, in St. Paul, Minnesota, on the west side. He was shot down in the back by Victor and a couple of other guys, which that was unknown. But I do know that when we got to the hospital, they said to me that a black guy shot my son, and they had him already arrested. And come to find out, they pulled guns on us and told us to leave the hospital right after I got there to find out my son had passed away. As time went on, I'm thinking a black guy shot my son. To come to find out, they've told me for 5 years, I thought it was a Hmong police guy. And all these years that I suffered in pain, looking at Hmong guys want to hurt one of these police officers, to come to find out it was a white police officer done this killing. He set my son up to kill him because my son told me, Mom, the cops are trying to kill me. Me, not understanding what he was telling me, but he was having dreams that this was going to happen. They were already trying to plot to murder my son, and they succeeded. I just want justice because this police brutality needs to quit. I'm down for this to stop. This is no such thing. This should not be happening. You know, these police is walking around thinking they can kill the black brothers of America when they knowing that they're wrong for doing it because they don't want to see us succeed in life. They believe that black need to be down all the time. They don't want us to grow up and be nobody. But I know God is with you people, and they're going to always be there for us because justice will be served. And they just don't realize it because the day my son got killed, 10 years later, that officer got shot in the back like he shot my son in the back. So I know justice is going to be served. But the day they walked around thinking that they can keep on killing, they threatened people. When instead had them leaving town, they didn't want no one to realize that they were like that. They had friends of my son actually leaving. They go to their house threatening them. They had things about what they're gonna do to the family if they talked. A few guys lost their life over the last 5 years among that time span. They end up dead, and I don't know how. I hired a private investigator. The private investigator was an ex-police officer. All of a sudden, he got the police report. He disappeared. I hired a lawyer. A month later, the lawyer sends my information back, and it was scribbled out all the names. He said he disappeared. So I know they teamed up against us. You know, they call themselves running together. The mayor, the Congress, the whole. Well, all you can think of is all for us to talk against us. But all I can say is we're going to pray for justice, and we know that eventually something's going to break because this can't keep going on.
Thank you. No peace. No justice. No peace.
Hi, my name is Paula Quinn. My son Philip Quinn was murdered by the St. Paul Police Department. That's all I did was just call for help. He was suicidal, and that's all I wanted to do was call the cops to ask asked them to come and help me for I could get him some help and commit him into the hospital. Instead, they came with their guns drawn and started shooting at him. They say that he was running forward, but that's not what happened. And Officer McGuire, I told him when my son was down, okay, you got him, he's down, don't kill him. And the last thing was he started shooting my son in the back on the ground.
Wow.
Please give justice to all the families. Justice!
Justice for Phil!
Justice for Philip!
Justice for Philip!
Amen.
My name is Gabriel Blackout. I am the brother of Paul Castaway, who was killed by Denver police in Denver, Colorado on July 12, 2015. I moved here a couple years ago to get away from all the gang stalking that was happening with my family. So I'm out here representing my brother, Native Lives Matter, and for all the families that are killed by police. Thank you. Justice for Paul!
Justice for Paul!
Hello, I'm here to represent Dontaylo, Chicken Wing Wright. He was not my blood relative, but that man was my nephew. He was very close to my nephews. And on May 31st, 2012, somebody had called to report a man who was carrying a gun. And Chicken Wing was not in the right mind when he was in this stance. He was having a mental breakdown and he was suicidal, saying he was only gonna harm himself. When it came down to it, Brooklyn Center Police and Minneapolis Police Department went and responded to the call and shot Dontaylo down. And once he was down, they had a dog drag his body about 10 feet. Chicken Wing died at the scene. And that was in 2012, before we even thought about protesting, before we gathered to, as a community, even gathered with other families to share our grief and to share our pain and to express that feeling with one another. And so I appreciate all the families coming out, and I appreciate everybody standing with us and fighting with us, and especially fighting the military and fighting the white supremacist groups against us.
Yeah.
Justice for Chicken Wing!
Justice for Chicken Wing!
I am here representing my nephew, Billy Hughes, and over here in St. Paul. And somebody called because there was a domestic downstairs, and then they were pounding on Billy's door. So he opened up the door, and as soon as he opened up the door, they started shooting him a whole bunch. Even a bullet went next door to the neighbor's house. But yeah, he didn't do nothing. He wasn't even oh my God, I can't get that. They were called for that domestic downstairs, and then they just murdered him like that. Justice for Billy!
Justice for Billy!
Hi, I'm Jamar Clark's sister, and my name is Danielle Awake. And my brother was killed 11/15. He was tending to a party, and he called me that day to ask if I was going to come to that party because we knew the people he was at. And I told him I may come because I had to care for a daughter that was sick. And so Jamar had tended to the party and called me and said, "Sis, is you coming?" I'm like, "No, I can't come because I'm tending to your niece." You know, he's like, "Okay." He was at a party with a friend who the couples who party it was had an altercation, and it got so loud that someone called the police. Police never even showed up for that call. Okay? So when she tried to try to stop the fight among two married people, she hurt her leg trying to stop them from fighting. My brother picked her up and told her that's husband and wife, stay out of that. Picked her up and told her, as when she fell, she hurt herself. So when he picked her up, he was helping her to get upstairs where she stayed at on Plymouth. When she went upstairs, he proceeded to go outside after he got her inside. She went outside And she called the ambulance because she couldn't bear the pain no more. So when she called the ambulance, my brother seen that she was being pulled out in the stretcher. So when he seen that she was being pulled out in the stretcher, he went over to the ambulance to see about her. Ambulance didn't like it was late at night. Ambulance didn't like him being around, I guess, in the inside. She was so doped up. You know, she was already been drinking at this party. I don't know what was said on that part, but I know what my brother was doing. He was checking on a friend. And is it wrong to check on a friend? He didn't deserve to be shot like that. When the police arrived, they immediately handcuffed him. And then they chokehold him and slammed him down. 2 cops, 4 precinct, one on his back and the other one. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
They choked him. And when they choked him, they thought he was dead. So what they do is made an excuse by shooting him. No. They shot him. We need justice! We